are today's contestants. The two of them will be battling for supremacy in the NFC, and while one of them will leave with bragging rights, the other will be left looking like an idiot, as round by round they get voted off as the weakest link. Da, 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 da.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia sports, alright? It's This Week in Philadelphia sports. If you're new to this channel and you enjoy this sort of content, make sure you leave a like and hit that subscribe button. We want to build the biggest base of Philadelphia sports fans possible. We need you to be a part of it. We're of course going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles after a loss which left fans everywhere incandescent with rage, fury and fire, and that may be the most British thing I've ever said. They lose 38-20. It was an abysmal showing all round. Offense, defense, it was just a state. It was an absolute mess, and there is a meat and potatoes of today's vegetable stew that we will get to in due course. But before we get to the real core of today's apple, a lot of appetizers. We've got a few different dishes being ordered out. The first one has to come on offense, and in terms of play calling, there are a few things I don't understand. Two of them I really don't understand. One, why are there so many screens to Alshon Jeffrey all of a sudden? I understand that Nelson Aguilar exists, Miles Sanders exists, other players exist. Why is Alshon Jeffrey at 6'4" getting screen passes? He looks like the hunchback of Notre Dame, and I get in short yardage situations he may well be the army tank barreling through enemy lines, but for the most part it just looks messy, uncoordinated, and frankly a bit of a letdown. Can't relate to that one. The second thing we've got to address is of course that play call. You know, you drive into the heart of the Minnesota defense where all they're doing is playing that stupid horn every 38 seconds. I'm honest, I think I could hear it in my sleep. At this point in time, the Vikings have 24 points on the board. You've got to do something. Surely putting yourself back in contention is gonna matter. Jake Elliott walks up to the ball. There's around 13 seconds left, and they fake field goal, which I understand. If you've seen something in terms of a coverage breakdown, you've seen it glare on tape where you can gain a coaching advantage, fine. Any other reasoning outside of that is absolutely mind-blowing. Elliott takes a snap, he rolls about a bit, does some Carson Wentz wizardry of his own, tries to throw to Dallas Goedert, who is blanketed like you are on a cold winter's night, and he has to throw the ball away, and he does so into the hands of a Vikings player. So not only did the Eagles come away with 0 points, but they turn the ball over. And I understand, if you can push that ball forward, you get into the end zone, you get the ball to start the second half, brilliant, you can get 14 points, you're back in the game. But the grand scheme of things is, there wasn't a lot of time left, there wasn't any timeouts, and even if Dallas Goedert does catch that ball, let's say he doesn't get out of bounds, is Jake Elliott really going to speed his way out to the line of scrimmage like Sonic the Hedgehog and spike that ball? Because the answer is no, theoretically. He's just not, is he? He's going to be like, oh my god, I made it, ball run. Things that make sense more than that cool. My love life for one of them, which is saying a lot. Alright, it's saying a lot. Matrix Revolutions, Inception, the Da Vinci Code, people who put pineapple on pizza, people who go to the self-checkout, don't buy a bag and try to juggle everything to their car, people who have iPhones but don't use iMessage, Instagram boomerangs. Why is Matt Collins playing significant snap counts and getting 2 targets with 0 reception? And I just struggle to believe that the Eagles offense is struggling that much just because there's no Deshaun Jackson. Like, the Eagles have gone periods in 2016, 17 and 18 with a number 2 receiver down. I mean, in 16 they didn't even have a number 2 receiver. They survived, alright? 2017, Torrey Smith missed time. 2018, well, Mike Wallace never even saw the field, so I don't think that somehow Deshaun Jackson's absence is the sole reason for the deconstruction of this offense. It certainly doesn't help when you're down in a hole at the end of the first quarter, when the Vikings can literally run 7 minutes off the clock in the first quarter. You go 3 and out, the Vikings go back again. It was just abysmal. I've said it a million times, this team is not built to win from behind. It's built to gain a lead early on and keep it that way. When Kirk Cousins is throwing from behind and he has to allow routes to develop longer, that's when your pass rush gets home. That's when you sit 10 yards off the ball and you let those routes come to you. That's not happening though, is it? Because the Eagles are scoring about as many points in the first quarter as I am right now, and the defense has more holes than Augusta National Golf Course. That's 18 for anyone that's counting. But you know what's not abysmal? Philly Sports Network merchandise. You can cop it down in the description below and you'll look great. And it has writing on the back and it is black and comes in different colours as well. If you're not a cyber goth like me, it's what you want. Rep the brand, look good doing it, and you too can be me. So today's video, Oh, we're talking about old Jimmer of Schwartzington. Now, I wrote an article on Philly Sports Network earlier today saying that pressure's building on Jim Schwartz. And for those of you who love reading headlines and not articles, you're like, no, there's not. There's no pressure on Jim. Oh my God, my phone moved. And then others of you were like, yeah, he's fired. And I'm like, well, none of those things. There is pressure on him to make a change. Because the thing is, there is a nice argument we find ourselves having now, which is talent versus scheme. It's, do the Eagles have the right talent for the scheme? Is the scheme broken? Essentially. There's a little from column A and a little from column B. There is a saying in football called, if I could, then I would. I'll go wherever you... That's not the... That's... Oh, mind distracted. It's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and Joes. And what separates good coaches and coordinators from bad coaches and coordinators is how well you adapt your scheme to the players that you've got. If you've got a scheme that no player can execute, what's the point? It's like giving me all the ingredients for a nice dinner. You're not getting a nice dinner. You'd be lucky if you get out of the house without a flame coming off of your shirt and maybe food poisoning as a boost, because I won't know what to do with the ingredients. Jim Schwartz doesn't have a lot of overall talent. That seems to be a take that I'm seeing quite a lot. I would argue that it's reasonable and is certainly sustainable if the scheme adjusts. And what we're seeing is the Eagles cornerbacks constantly being asked to A, play 10 yards off the ball, and B, do so without safety help, and that is a problem. And the main evidence of this is that about 4 touchdowns this year have been post routes against Rasul Douglas, against a look where there seem to be 2 safeties. It's either a cover 2 or a cover 4. One safety's going to come down, and that's going to leave a corner playing outside leverage, trying to funnel the play inside, thinking he's got safety help, with no safety there. It doesn't make sense at all. So then you've got a pass rush that is having to try and come down in less time because Kirk Cousins is getting the ball out much quicker because he's working with a 10-yard space between the receiver and the corner. Therefore, the routes are technically already open. All you've got to do is get the ball out. And that is catch 22. If your corners can't disrupt timing of routes, your pass rush can't get home. If your pass rush can't get home, you can't disrupt timing of routes. And what we're seeing, again, bit of column A, bit of column B, but Schwartz has to adapt. All the Eagles do is run a single high or they rob one underneath. If you run 2 safeties, you know one's coming down. It's bread and butter. And the blueprint to beat this team has been out there since 2016. Eli Manning picked Jalen Mills apart in 2016. 2017 we see the same, and a couple more teams do it. And now every team's doing it. Unless you're the New York Jets, which I don't think last week qualified as an actual offense. That may have been someone's school day out. So do you know what? Fine. The Eagles may not have the most amount of talent in the world, especially in the secondary, but you have to compensate for that. Pull linebackers out on curls and flats. Give safety help over the top. Stop getting fancy and robbers and inverts. Just put the safeties at the top, let them roam centre field, and give your corners a little bit of help. A good example, I cannot drive. My friend can drive. He has a car. He let me drive his car down the road. It's now in the garage because the engine overheated. I kept doing the thing with the clutch. Actually thought a bit of plastic by the door was the accelerator. It wasn't. Therefore, I kept stalling. His car is now in the garage because I didn't have the help I needed to get that car moving. Same on defense. And if Schwartz does not adapt, if he does not do something to give his corners help, who are limited, then it's game over. The other way of looking at it is if the Eagles go out and get Jalen Ramsey, or any cornerback for that matter, and comes in and then Schwartz adjusts, is that not a massive knock in confidence or a massive question mark to say, well, why hasn't he done that before? Why has it taken a significant trade for you to bend your scheme around talent when you've had every opportunity to do it for 3 years and yet you've resisted? I don't get it. There is pressure on Jim Schwartz to make a change, and as you can tell, I am raging right now. Every week I sit to an Eagles film review, you guys, and all I see is post routes and touchdowns and off coverage, and it's too much. I can't anymore, alright? I can't. Just please, subscription on YouTube. Alright. On to the Philadelphia Phillies, and Gabe Kapler is out of here. He's gone. Where he's gone, I don't know, but he's been fired. Then there was some murmur about him not being fired, but he is fired, mainly because the Phillies were bang average this year, despite them spending £330 million on a player. So yeah, not been a good week for the Phillies, but hey, it's a new leaf, it's a fresh start. They've already got a nice foundation. I'm sure this offseason is going to be longer than you can possibly imagine, and it's going to take forever, but we'll get you through it. At least I won't have to remember what any random 3 letters mean anymore, which is a very good start. Flyers are now 2-1 after a shootout loss to the Vancouver Canucks, and as you may have noticed, I'm back in England. I'm no longer in Prague, so that coverage is finished, it is done. I'm here back in England, cover endings for you. The Sixers started their preseason campaign with a win over the Charlotte Hornets, who looked abysmal, and Ben Simmons hit a 3, which was good, and apparently now that is going to break the NBA and Ben Simmons is going to be excellent. The Philadelphia Union will play their playoff game against the New York Red Bulls on the 20th of October, so go and see that. And that brings us to the end of this video, I think. It's been a bit of an emotional one. I thank you for sticking around, it means a lot. If you're new to this channel, again, please hit subscribe, it would mean the world to me if you could. From myself, Liam Jenkins, thank you so much for tuning in. It is amazing to have these little Mondays with you. I'll see you next time.